third gender. It's interesting as a feminine person having to, this has nothing to do with the film. It's interesting as a feminine person, as a primarily feminine identified person, having access to a testosterone-based system. You know, because I have a testosterone-based system, and more I've been thinking of estrogen and testosterone as two different kinds of software that human beings, you know, that you work with two different kinds of software programs. And the flood of that estrogen or testosterone, depending on which hormone system you're working with, it creates a totally different neural pathways through your brain and constructs different kinds of ways of thinking. And in fact, give you a totally new operating system. And it's something that is almost taboo to talk about, the extremity of the difference between men and women in the society, even as everyone can acknowledge that there's this radical, you know, a disparity between the power of the sexes, or the influence of the sexes in the way we organize ourselves, especially, you know, politically, economically, in the militarily, and in relationship to our environment. I guess what I'm getting at is that as a trans person, you have this kind of unique opportunity to sort of, and I can't say that it's the extent of the identity of a trans person, but it's one facet of it, is that you start to see more clearly, especially within the trans community, you see people simply taking the hormones of the opposite sex and their approach starting to change almost immediately. I mean, nothing will illustrate to you more clearly what it's like, what the influence of hormones is than to watch F to M take testosterone for a few weeks. You know, it's a totally different gig. You know, it's a totally different gig, and the same is true in the other direction. And yet I do believe also that there's another kind of hovering, unidentified space that I actually occupy, that sort of, that isn't separate from endocrinological systems, but is somehow dealing with the alchemy of them in a different way, especially through the use of creativity.
You know,
Does that answer your question?
First of all,